Hi, welcome back to my channel. So my name's Kerry, just in case this is the first time that you've stumbled across my channel. And you can mainly find me over on Instagram. My account's mainly interiors and lifestyle focused. I've done a couple of home tours, which you can find on previous YouTube videos, so I'll pop the link to those below. And I've also done a huge wardrobe declutter. So if you've got more time on your hands at the moment, like most of us have, then check that video out as well, because this is the perfect time to have a really good declutter. So last week I started a new series which is called At Home with Kerry, and that is to try and entertain everybody a little bit more whilst you're at home, because we're all in this together, and I think if we can keep busy it will make our days go a little bit quicker. So I did a stop motion tutorial on the last video, and that was really popular. Loads of you have taken part and it's been great watching the videos that you've put together. So this week is going to be about shelf styling. It's something that I get asked quite often, and a few of you asked on my last video in the comments for me to do that next. So it's something that I really enjoy, and also I think at this particular time it's really good to do because it gives you a chance to have a really deep clean. You can strip everything off the shelves, give them a really good clean. And it also makes you use your imagination a little bit more, because you can't just go out there and buy things because most of the shops are closed now. So the perfect thing to do would be to shop your own home, which is something that I do all the time. So basically go around different rooms and look at items that you've put elsewhere. So vases, books, little trinket boxes, candles, anything like that. And you can switch those around and use them to style a new area of your home, and also it just gives that area a new lease of life. So a lot of people feel a little bit overwhelmed styling shelves. There are a few basic tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way, just to make sure that everything comes together nicely, and so I'm going to walk you through those step by step in this video. So here are the shelves that I'm going to style today. These are some bookshelves that my husband built when we were doing our living room renovation not long ago. And if you want to see more of that renovation, I'll pop the link below. So first things first, you're going to give them a really good clean. So take everything off and just give them a really deep clean. Before you get started, it's good to gather everything together. So as I said earlier, go and shop around the house and collect items that you want to use. So you might already have items in your bedroom, like some sentimental items that you want to display on the shelves. You might have a stereo that you want to put on there. I've got lots of books and magazines because I need this space to be practical, because I've got nowhere else to store them. Try and get items that are different shapes and sizes, and also different textures. Plants are really good for adding texture. So once you've got everything together, just display them all out on the floor in front of you so that you've got everything to work with and you can have a good play around with everything. So when it comes to styling the bookshelves, I like to start off with larger items, and also items which you want to take centre stage. So for example, here I've put the wire basket on there. I've put that on one of the bottom shelves, and again, it can be used to store items that you don't want on show. And then I've also put my face planter right in the centre of the shelves, just there, because it's one of my favourites and I really wanted to stand out. So then continue to add larger bulky items to the shelves, spacing them out as you go. Here I've added my Marshall speaker, a wooden coral decoration, and my hurricane lamp on the top shelf. Next, I'm going to start adding my books and magazines. Now I've got quite a few books and magazines that I want to place on here, because I want to make this space as practical as possible. So books are like the building blocks of shelving. You can use them as a styling tool, so you can place them vertically or you can put them horizontally, and then you can stack smaller items on top as well. They're a great layering piece, and also a great way to add height to smaller items that you want to stack on top too. So as you can see on here, I've stacked some of my hardback books on the bottom shelf. But there's a lot of colour going on in them, so to reduce the colour palette I've turned them around the other way so that the spines are facing the back. That's a great way to kind of restrict the colour palette a little bit. And then I'm just going to spread some books and magazines across the shelves in different areas, and I'm going to place some flat and I'm going to stand some of them up. Mixing up the positioning of your books and magazines like this really helps with layering. It also keeps the shelves looking interesting whilst balancing the weight across the shelves. So next up are decorative objects. These could be things that you've collected on your travels. They could be sentimental items, things that you've picked up from a vintage store or a second-hand store, or they could be new pieces that you've recently bought. I think it's great to introduce a little bit of a mixture of new and old. And also another tip would be to use a small tray to place items on top of, because this really brings everything together and kind of grounds it to make it look more pulled together. So once the bigger items are all in place, it gives you a chance to stand back and just have a look how you want things to look. You can kind of move things around a little bit if you think something looks kind of heavier on one side than on the other. And then the fun part is adding all your beautiful decorative items onto the shelves. So there's no rules to this really. I would just try and build small areas. So rather than just making a full shelf look really crowded, try and have separate areas within that shelf. So as you can see here, I've got this little porcelain penguin, which I'm using as a bookend. And then I'm going to add this brass watering can. So again, that's a different texture, nice shiny texture. There's a couple more books here that I'm going to use for some smaller objects, just so that they don't look too kind of spaced out. And then I've got some metal candlesticks, which I'm going to put above. So next I've got a couple of vases which have got dried flowers in. These are quite big, so I'm going to pop them on the top shelf, and they'll also help to draw the eye upwards and make the space feel bigger. Another way to do this is by adding some artwork to the back of the shelves. You can see here that I've put a print in there. I've also used a small mirror, and I've used this rusty letter K, which is great to add a little bit more texture. Then last but not least, a hanging plant that's going to spill out of its container and add an extra special dynamic element to the room. If you're not very good at caring for real plants, then there are loads of artificial alternatives around. So that is about it. So stand back and have a little look and just see how it's looking. You might find that you've got too much colour on there, so you can restrict the colour palette a little bit more, or you might find that one side's looking a little bit heavier than the other side, so have a little play around until it's looking how you want it to. Bookcases are just such a great feature for any room. If you feel that your room is lacking any character or personality, then bookshelves are such a great way to inject that into your space. So I really hope that you found this tutorial helpful. If you have, give it the thumbs up, and I would love you to subscribe to my channel. If you've got any suggestions for future episodes of At Home with Kerry to keep everyone entertained while we're stuck at home, then also leave your suggestions below, and I will see you next time. Bye!